Hello, I'm Adam Barralet and welcome to our monthly astrological forecast where we look at what's going to be happening up in the skies, up in the heavens, and then how Mother Earth down here supports us with her beautiful gifts so we can not only survive these energy shifts that are happening here on Earth, but we can thrive during them as well. Now, if you've been watching these forecasts before, you'll know that I kind of hop around and give you different crystals and oils, but I've actually noticed when I was kind of feeling into what would be best to support us all throughout the month of June, I noticed that there's kind of trends where we can kind of double up a little bit. So I'm a little bit excited about that. That means you're going to need a few less essential oils than I'm normally telling you to get. But let's dive in and have a look. So what's going to be the first momentous kind of thing happening in June? It's going to be Mercury going direct. We know that Mercury was retrograde in Gemini and then into Taurus over most of May. It just comes back into its direct motion on the 3rd of June. Now we know that what Mercury governs is communication, electronics, our logical mind, contracts and the written word as well as the spoken word, as well as timetables and scheduling and short trips. So things like, getting to work on time or getting to an engagement on time can be affected, as well as electronics such as phones, emails, laptops, all that kind of jazz as well. So when you normally feel the biggest impact of a retrograde is when a planet goes into retrograde and as it comes out. So the first few days of June, you're going to notice a little bit of a bumpy ride, and just make sure that you're reading things properly, that you're sending messages to the right people, that you're taking time to articulate what you're trying to say, and that maybe you've backed up any important files or documents as well. To make sure that we remain grounded during this time, the crystal that I love for every Mercury retrograde is Botswana Agate. I always lean into this one, either wearing a pendant or a ring of it, or carrying 2 tumbled stones, one in each pocket, is a really good way of helping to keep you grounded and help keep you sensible throughout this time. The essential oil that I'm encouraging you to lean into is Arborvitae. Now, Arborvitae comes from the wood of a cypress tree that is found in North America, up in Canada and the northern parts of the United States. The oil in that is so thick that insects don't bore into it. It doesn't rot when it falls over. And so what it does is, metaphysically, this oil is going to help you to not allow things to bug you. So when things are getting a little cray-cray around you with the Mercury retrograde, you're going to remain focused and disciplined. And so Arborvitae is a really great oil. I love to pop it in the diffuser. When I go to bed at night, I'll mix it with a carrier oil and I'll rub some on the soles of my feet. And I love at the start of the day, when I need to remain grounded, popping a single drop in your belly button can be really great physically and energetically. So give that a shot as well. So Mercury goes direct on the 4th of June, leaving only Pluto in retrograde still, until the 4th of June, when Saturn jumps in as well and goes retrograde. So what does Saturn kind of govern? Well, when you think of Saturn, basically, think about the rings. That's going to be a big clue on what Saturn does. A lot of people see that as being restriction and control. But really what Saturn wants for us is self-discipline. And what you'll find is holes in your own self-discipline will start to come to a head during this retrograde. Now, self-discipline always sounds so boring, but actually self-discipline is a form of self-love. Self-love isn't just bubble baths and chocolates. It's actually doing the things you need to do to keep yourself at your best and keep yourself strong and healthy. It's about getting up and going for a walk. It's about eating those healthy foods. It's about doing your taxes and writing a budget so you're not stressing about money. It's about all that kind of thing. And where there are holes in the self-discipline will become more evident. You may actually start to feel that you're losing control of your life, or other people are trying to control your life during this time as well. But as we know, every retrograde offers a lesson to point the holes in where we're not at our best so that we can make the changes and grow. So my favorite crystal to lean into during a Saturn retrograde is Peterside. Now, Peterside comes in blue, you get it in reds and these gold colors as well. It's got that same chatoyancy or shine as tiger's eye. And this stone really kind of synthesizes or corresponds beautifully with the energy of lightning. So you know that I love cleansing my crystals with different aspects of nature, and when there's a lightning storm, my Petersite all goes outside for a nice cleanse and charge and energize. Now when we think about lightning, when it comes down to earth, it doesn't go, oh, where shall I hit today? It's like, bang, I know where I'm going. It's focused, it's disciplined, it's direct. And that's exactly what Petersite brings into our life. So when you find that your self-discipline or your self-control starts to wane a little bit during Saturn retrograde, and things can kind of drag on during Saturn retrogrades, you may also find that lessons come back. It's a bit of history repeating itself. It's just to make sure that you've learned it one more time. And with that discipline and with that control, you don't let it bother you anymore and you move on. So this will be really great to help you with that. Now this is where I'm going to say, stick with the Arborvitae as Saturn's going into retrograde. Again, this tree grows very tall up to the heavens and doesn't allow anything to eat at it. That's what we want. We don't want you getting distracted during Saturn retrograde, and Arborvitae will really support you in that. I normally recommend basil. Basil works really well with Peterside as well. Basil helps to keep you focused. But I thought kind of that crossover from Arborvitae and Mercury retrograde into Saturn retrograde would be really helpful. So lean into that for around the 3rd, the 4th, and a few days either side, just to make sure that you aren't getting distracted or overwhelmed too much. Our next kind of monumental event is going to be our full moon. Now, our full moon in June is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius governs the aspect of life that I like to think of expansion. It's traditionally considered to be, people outside your village. That's what it used to be in the old days. But it's about expanding your circles, going to university, religion. It's about expanding your ideas, getting out there and interacting with more people. As we get older, we try to get into our comfort zone and we go, I'm happy with my lot. But as we know in nature, nothing stands still. Everything is either growing or decaying. So if you're not expanding, if you're not pushing yourself to do new things, to expand your mind and your life, then guess what? You're going backwards, you're decaying. And so this is a great moon to focus that energy on how would you like to expand your life? Would you like to go on an overseas holiday? Would you like to attract more friends? Do you need to attract more business colleagues or more customers? Any of that type of thing. Expansion. Would you like to, learn a bit more about spirituality? Would you like to go and do a course? Any of those types of things all work in this full moon in Sagittarius. Being a fire sign, it's a really great time to charge a candle and then burn that candle for a little bit each night, all the way through to the next dark moon or new moon period. So, what have I chosen for this? Well, we want to get out, we want to mix with people more. And Danburite is really great. Danburite may just look like a bit of a clear crystal, but what makes it really special is you'll see it grows in a wedge. And I always find that it's almost like a doorstop. It wedges the door open so that the angels and new opportunities and fun can come in. This has a really uplifting, celebratory nature. And just like Sagittarians, who love a bit of a party traditionally, this will help you to get out there and expand in that celebratory, joyous kind of way. To keep that upbeat kind of energy, Melissa is really, really powerful. Melissa is commonly found in your local nursery as lemon balm. You can buy it for a few bucks. It's not too expensive at all. But there's only a tiny bit of essential oil in there. When we get this essential oil in its concentrated form, gifted from a large amount of those leaves, then you really get this amazingly potent lemon-scented essential oil. It was believed in the past that one drop of this essential oil would bring someone near death back to life. Now, I know that many of us are still languishing and feeling a bit lethargic after the pandemic, and maybe you've had COVID and it's hard to get started again, but this is a really great time to do that, and Melissa helps. When I think of Melissa, I think of the clouds parting and those rays of sun coming through. And so the full moon in Sagittarius is very expansive, very transformational, and very exciting for you to go, what's next in life? I'm ready for my next stage. Melissa and Danburite will bring that celebratory, eager, excited energy into your life and have you ready for whatever your next stage of life has for you. After the full moon, we then get into our solstice. Now, for those of you that are in the northern hemisphere, this is exciting. We have a full moon, and sometimes two, every month. How often do we have a full sun? When the sun is at its full capacity? Once a year, on the solstice. So this year, for those in the northern hemisphere, your summer solstice is on the 21st of June. This is when the sun is at its peak. This is a great day to grab a clear quartz, put it outside for the whole day and charge it and bring in that solar yang masculine energy. You can also check out my other YouTube video that talks on all different ways that you can really get in to the summer solstice. But this is a time when we focus on our solar plexus chakra, It's a social time. It's another expansive time. So these energies are all working really well for those in the Northern Hemisphere right now. So get out there and enjoy this time, expand, enjoy the warm weather. It's freaking cold out here today. That's why I'm in such a jacket and just come out. I've been hiding inside under the heater all day. But because we're working on that solar plexus chakra, we're getting out there and shining, being sociable, sharing our light and sharing our gifts with the world. I thought I'd choose Bumblebee Stone for the Northern Hemisphere for the summer solstice. Why Bumblebee Stone? Well, it's got that beautiful yellow energy. The sulfur in this has a very strong connection to the sun as well. That helps to engage your joyousness, your sociability, and it's obviously connected to the energy of the bee. Now, bees, when they fly around and they land on a plant, do they just land anywhere? No, they land on the flower. Why? Well, because the flower is the sweet spot. So what bee and the Bumblebee Stone helps us to do when we're getting out, being social, feeling empowered, is to look for the good in everyone, in everything. It's about optimism. It's about positivity. So this is a really beautiful stone to work with around the summer solstice. Now, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's not our summer solstice. As you can probably tell, you're probably getting a little bit cold. We're going into our winter solstice. Now, the winter solstice is a time to focus on the crown chakra. Obviously, we don't feel like going outside. We don't want to get out of bed. We feel a bit more introspective and quiet and unsocial. That's exactly what nature's encouraging you to do. When we focus on the crown chakra, we focus not on action, but on introspection. We're in our cave, we're hibernating, and we're connecting back to our spirituality and realigning with our spiritual purpose. A really great crystal to lean into at this time is Lepidolite, and that's my choice this year for the winter solstice here in the southern hemisphere. Now, we could just go with good old amethyst, but amethyst is a really good one for helping you to calm down and connect with your spirituality. The fact that you're watching this video suggests to me that you probably might already be a little bit spiritual, maybe work with crystals and essential oils, astrology and so on. What Lepidolite's really great for is once we've discovered our spirituality, it can open up a whole wide world of energies and options and different things like that, and we can end up getting a little bit scattered. Lepidolite is high in lithium, and medically we give lithium to people with bipolar to help them settle this kind of erratic nature. This can help all of us to settle when all the energies are quite erratic and thus connect to our guides, our angels, our totems and so on. So it's a really nice one on that Yule kind of, Yule is another name for the winter solstice, Yule time to kind of be introspective and connect with your guides and really go, what am I here to do? And then as the weather starts to warm, we'll start moving down the chakras, getting back into action until we have our summer and our summer solstice in December. The oil that I've chosen to go with it, I've just gone for a classic crown chakra relaxing oil. It's lavender. Now lavender, yes, we think of lavender for sleep. It's a really great one to have in bedroom diffuser, to rub on the soles of your feet, mix a drop with your moisturizer, rub that on your face. All great ways, and even pop some on your crown chakra. I often like to refer to lavender as the red wine of the aromatherapy kingdom. What do I mean by that? Well, got a kookaburra. We know that, now I'm going to have to compete with the kookaburra. We know that, when we have a couple of red wines, we become a bit more relaxed, we become a bit more open. Well, that's exactly what lavender allows us to do as well. To be relaxed, to open up to our spirituality, to do a little bit less, but to be open to different possibilities, to be honest with ourselves. So lavender is really, really helpful for all that. So a really nice one to lean into if you're in the southern hemisphere in June, around the 21st of June, when it's our winter solstice or Yule. Now, then we have another retrograde happening on the end of the month, on the 28th. Neptune is turning retrograde. Now, Neptune is named after the god of the oceans, but also governs arts, photography, fashion, inspiration, beauty. It kind of, when Neptune is direct, he kind of puts these rose-colored glasses on us, and it allows us to see how everything is just divine and beautiful. It's interesting, when he goes retrograde, he whips those glasses off and you see harsh reality. It can be a bit of a reality shock as you start to see things as they truly are. And where you've kind of been glossing over things or letting things go, you start to see what's actually happening. we start to feel a little less forgiving for a partner that's maybe taking advantage of us, or someone who's maybe abusing us in one way or another. This is a great time to go, this is actually what's happening in my life, and to have that real reality check. So this can be another great learning time. What we want to do is we want to bring in a bit of that confidence. We want to bring in a bit of that Neptune energy to support us, because Neptune's taken that energy away. He's gone on holiday in retrograde, and he's in retrograde till the 4th of December. So we can lean into good old Larimar. Now, Larimar is a really beautiful one for helping us connect with that oceanic energy of Neptune, but also Larimar, being with the throat chakra, helps us to be open and honest. It allows us to communicate clearly, and it's also a truth-seeking crystal. So it helps us to really zone in, ask the right question, say the right things to find out what the reality is, and kind of be, get our lives into order. Stop, letting people take advantage of you. Stop kidding yourself. Stop, all those types of things really come up to a head when Neptune goes into retrograde. When Neptune goes into retrograde. The essential oil I've chosen is Rosalina. Rosalina is gifted to us from Australian Melaleuca tree. It's called swamp paperbark is another name for it. And it helps with the third eye chakra, and it helps us to be more adaptable. So as you start to see what's actually happening, you can kind of change and shift gears to do exactly what you need to do. So they're my picks for Neptune retrograde. Finally, we start a new lunar cycle on the 29th of June. On the 29th of June, it's a new moon in Cancer. Now this is a time to snuggle in with family, feel comfortable, and start thinking about what we'd like to do in our private life. What maybe you might want to renovate your home or make your home a little more cozy. Really great for us in the Southern Hemisphere while it's winter time. So we make those plans, we make those kind of goals, and it's a really great time to actually lean into our intuition. Our intuition is heightened around that time. The crystal I've chosen is black moonstone. Moonstone comes in white, but also green, brown, grey, orange or peach, and black. Black helps us to settle into the quietness and the introspective energy of the new moon, but also to ask the questions we need to. It also helps with our intuition as well, and helps us to feel safe. If we don't feel safe at home, then it's really hard to get out into the world and be who we truly are. So new moon in Cancer is a time to question, how do I make my home the true safe haven it should be? And this can really help us and guide us in that way to find out ways to do that. Now, carrying on with that Melaleuca theme, we had Rosalina the day before for our Neptune retrograde. And if you can't get hold of Rosalina, the following day for the new moon, I've recommended tea tree. And you could probably use that as a good Rosalina substitute. Tea tree is all about clearing away blocks that stop us from nurturing ourselves, from feeling safe, from feeling loved. Often when we're a child, we decide that we're not worthy of love, and we start to play that out as an adult, getting into relationships, having money problems, choosing jobs that don't pay us or respect us, and even not respecting our own well-being, whether that be physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. Tea tree is used to help us recognize where we're sabotaging our life, where we're not loving ourselves, and cleanse those blocks away. So a really great one to use during the new moon in Cancer. So those are what's the kind of happenings which are happening throughout June around our globe. The only thing that's different is the Northern Hemisphere has their summer solstice, whereas the Southern Hemisphere has their winter solstice. But all the other energies will be impacting us wherever you are on the globe. Remember that throughout the month, I'll have different videos and lives and posts on my newsletter that you can subscribe to at adambarralet.com. I also have my weekly podcast where this week I'm actually going through what I've talked about in a bit more depth and explaining all the retrogrades and full moons a bit more. I've got Instagram, and I've got Crystal Connections on Facebook as well. And I'll keep you updated bit by bit by bit as we go through the month. But remember that all these things that are happening are for your own growth, for your own development. And Mother Earth is always offering you gifts to help you along the way. So lean into those gifts. And if I can help you in any way, the summary and all my contact details are in the description below this video. Thanks for hanging out with me for a few minutes, and enjoy June. I know I will. I'm a Gemini. It's my birthday this month. So have a great month, and I'll see you next month. Until then, blessed be.